It started as a gut feeling. Nothing obvious, nothing I could point to. Just an unease creeping up my spine every time I looked at her. Something was different. Something was wrong. She had always been an open book. We had been together for years, and never once had I felt like she was hiding anything. But lately, that had changed. The little things started piling up. She was spending more time on her phone, smiling at texts she never explained. She started dressing up for work when she never used to care before. And the worst part? She seemed distant, like I wasn't even there. I tried to brush it off at first. Maybe she was just going through a phase. Maybe I was overthinking things. But doubt is like a splinter. It digs deeper the more you ignore it. Then one night I finally asked her, "Are you seeing someone else?" She laughed, rolled her eyes, called me insecure. "Babe, it's not what you think. You're being paranoid." Her words should have reassured me, but they didn't. Because as she spoke, she avoided my eyes. Because her smile was just a little too forced. Because when she kissed me goodnight, it felt like she was kissing a stranger. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to pretend everything was fine. But deep down, I knew she was lying. And I wasn't going to ignore it anymore. I refused to be gaslight. If she wanted to make me feel like I was crazy, I needed to prove I wasn't. The truth was out there. I just had to find it. The first thing I did was check our phone records. Late night calls to an unsaved number. Repeated messages at odd hours. My stomach twisted at the sight of it. I copied everything. Next, I followed her work schedule. She had claimed to be working late on multiple occasions, but when I drove past her office, her car wasn't there. Instead, I found it parked near a small apartment complex on the other side of town. My fingers tightened around the steering wheel as I sat in my car, watching and waiting. Then, the final step, I installed a hidden camera in our living room. I didn't want to believe what I suspected, but I needed undeniable proof. Days passed, and the tension in our home grew thicker. She was still affectionate, still pretending like nothing was wrong. But every time she touched me, I wondered if those same hands had been on someone else. Then, one night, I checked the footage. There she was sitting on our couch, whispering into her phone, smiling, laughing. And then I heard her say it. "He'll never find out." I felt my entire body go numb. She had lied. She had made me doubt myself. But now, I had proof. No more lies. No more gaslighting. Now, it was my turn to play the game. I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. She had spent so much time deceiving me, making me question myself. Now, I was going to do the same to her. The first thing I did was make copies of everything. The phone logs, the hidden camera footage, even screenshots of her social media interactions. I stored them all in a secure folder, backed up in multiple places. This wasn't just about catching her. This was about making sure she had no way out. Next, I played my part. I acted like nothing had changed. I kissed her goodbye in the mornings, texted her sweet messages during the day, even surprised her with dinner one evening. If she noticed anything different, she didn't show it. Maybe she thought she had me wrapped around her finger. Maybe she thought I would never be capable of seeing through her lies. But I wasn't just pretending. I was setting the stage for something much bigger. I reached out to a lawyer, making sure my assets were protected before she could try anything. I quietly moved my money into accounts she couldn't access, changed passwords, and gathered all necessary documentation. If she thought she was going to walk away from this with everything, she was in for a rude awakening. Then came the final piece of my plan, the moment when her lies would be exposed for everyone to see. I planned a dinner, something she wouldn't think twice about. I invited her family, her closest friends, and, just to make things interesting, the man she had been sneaking around with. She thought it was just another evening, another night of playing the devoted partner while leading her double life. She had no idea what was coming, because by the end of the night, she wouldn't just be exposed. She would be destroyed. The night had arrived. The dining room was set, the table lined with plates, candles flickering in the dim light. She greeted the guests, flashing that same warm smile she had used to manipulate me for so long. She had no clue what was about to happen. I watched her from across the room, holding a glass of wine, biding my time. Her family was there, her best friends, even a few mutual acquaintances. And then the final guest arrived, the man she had been sneaking around with. He walked in oblivious, giving her a knowing look that made my blood boil. I forced myself to remain calm. I had to stick to the plan. Once everyone was seated, I stood up, raising my glass. "Thank you all for coming," I said, my voice steady. "Tonight is special. My wife has been keeping a secret, and I think it's time we all hear it." Confusion spread across the room. She laughed nervously. "What are you talking about, babe?" I pulled out my phone. With a few taps, I mirrored the screen to the TV mounted on the wall. A few nights ago, she told me I was being paranoid, that there was nothing going on, but I want everyone to see exactly what she meant by that. I pressed play. The footage from the hidden camera filled the screen. Her voice, clear as day. "He'll never find out." Gasps filled the room. Then another clip. "I don't even feel bad. It's not like I love him anymore." She went pale, her eyes darting around in sheer panic. And then the final message. A text she had sent to her friend, now projected for everyone to see. "Technically, it's not cheating if we don't get caught, right? LOL. Dead silence. Her mother looked like she was going to faint. Her best friend covered her mouth in shock. Even he, the guy she had been with, shook his head in disbelief. She shot up from her chair, voice shaking. "This isn't what it looks like. Please, let's just..." I cut her off. "No, we're done." I reached into my pocket and pulled out an envelope. Divorce papers, signed and ready. I dropped them onto the table in front of her. "You played your game. Now, you get to live with the consequences." She stood frozen, her perfect little world crumbling around her. And I walked away, leaving her to face the wreckage she had created. The moment I stepped outside, the cold night air hit me like a wake-up call. It was over. The lies, the manipulation, the gaslighting. All of it had crumbled in front of her, witnessed by everyone who once thought she was something more than a fraud. I walked to my car, heart pounding, hand steady. Behind me, I could still hear the muffled chaos, her mother's angry voice, her father's deep, disappointed sighs, the murmurs of her friends, the stunned silence of her so-called lover. But I didn't turn back. Not once. By the next morning, my phone was flooded with messages. Some were from friends, offering their support. Others were from people who had been at the dinner, reeling from what they had seen. But the most desperate messages? Those came from her. She had called me 20 times, text after text, pleading for a chance to explain. "It wasn't serious. Please, we can fix this. You didn't have to humiliate me like that. I never meant to hurt you." Lies. All of it. I didn't respond. Instead, I focused on what came next. The divorce papers had already been processed. I had made sure of that long before the night of the reveal. The assets? Secured. She had assumed she could manipulate me into giving her everything in the divorce. But now, she was walking away with the bare minimum. The apartment? Mine. The car? Mine. The savings? Untouched by her greedy hands. Then, for the final touch, I sent one last message. "You said it wasn't cheating. Now you can live with the proof." And with that, I blocked her number. I heard through mutual friends that things only got worse for her. Her parents were furious, ashamed of the daughter they had raised. Her friends distanced themselves, unwilling to associate with someone who could lie so effortlessly. Even the man she had been sneaking around with, he ghosted her, realizing he had been just another pawn in her game. As for me, I moved forward. There was no sadness, no regret, only a sense of freedom. I had walked away with my dignity, my peace, and the knowledge that she would never be able to deceive me again. She had played her game, and I had won. The weeks that followed were surprisingly quiet. After everything that had happened, I expected more fallout, more drama. But once I had cut her out of my life, it was like she had never existed. Mutual friends chose sides. Some reached out, offering support, while others tried to stay neutral. The ones who truly mattered, though, stood by me. They saw the truth. They saw what she had done. Work became my escape. I poured myself into projects, finally feeling a sense of control again. I started hitting the gym more, not out of anger, but out of a need to reclaim myself, to rebuild the version of me she had tried to break. Then, one night, I got a message from an unknown number. "I miss you. Can we talk?" I stared at the screen, emotions warring inside me. Anger? No. Sadness? Not even close. If anything, I felt pity. Pity that she still thought she had any power over me. I didn't reply. I didn't even think about it. I simply deleted the message and went on with my life. Because the truth was, I didn't miss her. I didn't need closure. I had already won. A few months later, I met someone new. It wasn't rushed, wasn't forced. It just happened. She was different, honest, genuine. There were no secrets, no hidden agendas. Just real, unfiltered connection. And that's when I knew I hadn't just survived what she did to me. I had thrived. Time has a way of healing wounds, even the deepest ones. The scars of betrayal remained, but they no longer defined me. I had moved on, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. I had reclaimed my happiness, my confidence, and most importantly, my peace. Looking back, I didn't regret what happened. It shaped me, made me stronger, and taught me the most valuable lesson of all. Never let someone else dictate your worth. One evening, as I sat on my balcony, watching the city lights flicker in the distance, I got a final reminder of my past. A friend sent me a screenshot. My ex, posting cryptic messages about regret, about mistakes, about losing something she never truly appreciated until it was gone. I chuckled to myself. It no longer mattered. I had built something new, a better life, a fresh start. I had found someone who truly valued me. And most importantly, I had learned to value myself. She once thought she could manipulate me, break me, leave me shattered. But in the end, I was the one who walked away stronger. And she was left with nothing but memories of the man she could never deceive again.